Yeah. So Yusuf, you were asking a very important question. I will answer it. So, 1 week I had mulled wine. This week I got moonshine, baby. The homie hooked it up. So I got a little of this specially brewed tequila. I'm not gonna say the brand that the homie's making because he has yet to issue me a check. But I put that and mixed it with some high fructose corn syrup margarita mix that I got from the liquor store, and I'm drinking it in my little keto. I know. They didn't have gluten-free margarita.
You're in LA, bro. You're literally in the land of
but I'm in Skid Row corn syrup. I am, but Skid Row is the opposite of everything that's California.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
like,
true.
And I kind of like some of it a little bit. And I like a little poison in me, but that's my math.
Bet. All right. Well, my math today, I decided to switch things up, and I actually made a kava cold brew coffee, actually. So this is a kava mix with some coconut milk and some Sumatra beans, which is my favorite kind of coffee. And so it's today's mathematics, man. You know what I mean? Yeah, you know. Doing it every week. New kava recipe every week.
I love it. You guys hear me? I'm learning Microsoft, but like you guys can hear me, right? I'm only on wine today, so I'm on 19 Crimes. This is my drink of choice today.
That's a heavy glass. I love how there's like a truth to how much wine you pour in a cup at a time. You know that, right?
Oh yeah, that like grape juice.
Yo, for the record, Yui has that glass because he probably doesn't have a wine glass in that apartment.
I saw you go on IG Live today, bro, and it was so furnitureless. It was hard to hear.
I'm not a fan of furniture at all. But because you never know when you gotta move. But yeah, this is it. I have wine glasses first.
All right, well, you just drank toast.
Yeah,
thank you, brother. Ashe. Yeah. I wish you well. I wish you well. So today we actually have an amazing guest, and also a text I think that everybody listening should read if you haven't read it yet, and more so read about it. The text is called The Great Law of Peace. For those of you who went to cool charter and private schools when you was kids, maybe you heard of it. Most of us went to schools where this was literally written out of the history books. And it was founded and created by the Haudenosaunne. You know Haudenosaunne better as the Iroquois, but that was the name that the French gave and the English then used for the Iroquois Confederacy. But the Great Law of Peace was the uniting law. It was a constitution that was written, some estimate as far back as the 1100s, some estimate a little further, and it was really the brainchild of a group of people, but namely Hiawatha, who's also known as the Great Peacemaker. He had a vision to unite the tribes and bring 5 tribes, initially now it's 6, together. And they created this constitution that they instituted. The thing that is so important about this constitution is that it influenced the U.S. Constitution. And it influenced the values and the laws that we live by today. And many of us had no idea. You know, we talk about the so-called forefathers and all the great things they did, not knowing that a lot of their ideals actually came from someone else. So the chain reaction that this law had in the U.S. and the world was substantial. So I want to read a quote, and we'll come back to this because this quote was powerful, and it shows the role of women in the Confederacy. It says, if any Confederate lord neglects or refuses to attend the Confederate Council, the other lords of the nation of which he is a member shall require their war chief to request the female sponsors of the lord, so guilty of defense, to demand his attendance to the council. If he refuses to attend, the women holding the title shall immediately select another candidate for the title. And this excerpt just shows how important it was to have a balance of women in power. So women had the same power as far as choosing certain candidates, choosing chiefs. And I want to bring somebody who knows a lot more about this on the show so that we can hear the more details about this balance of power in the Great Law of Peace. We have a brethren with us who was recommended to me by the beautiful sister Valerie Parker. She's an amazing smoke dancer. Please check her out on YouTube. She brought a what she called the gatekeeper of history, the gatekeeper of rituals and traditions in the community, specifically in the Haudenosaunne community. This man is a historian and he knows the Great Law of Peace like the back of his own hand. Please welcome Jamie Jacobs, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Jamie.
Welcome, Jay.
Welcome, brethren.
Can you hear us, Jamie? Oh, no.
Oh, no.
I think he's just muted. He's just muted.
Jamie, you got to unmute.
Oh, perfect.
Jamie, are you with us? Still can't hear him.
We still can't hear you yet. Yeah, you know, it's still, at least your background's fly as hell, so we gotta actually hear you.
Background ever. All of our guests have amazing
But we
background.
can't hear you. We'll let you know when you can hear. So whatever button you press before.
There we go. Got you.
There you go, Jamie.
All right.
So Jamie, thank you so much, man, for joining us. I appreciate you for taking the time. I also know that these times are wild times for all of us, for almost every community in the world. I first just want to ask, like, how's your family doing? I know that this virus has affected certain communities more than others. It's definitely affected the Black community. It's affected the Native community. So how's family and what? How are they and how are you in the midst of all of this?
Pretty much all my family is we're doing okay so far. So I live on I guess what you would call an Indian reservation, just outside of Buffalo, New York. It's about 7,500 acres on our territory, and as of right now, we probably have 2 households that have the virus. Me and my wife and kids have managed to stay safe and healthy so far. Keep it that way as long as we can. My mom and dad are doing fine so far. They're staying inside, keeping healthy, waiting for the warm weather to come. This is Buffalo, New York, so warm weather is at a premium around here. So it usually doesn't until June, probably.
I can imagine. I'm blessed to be in California right now, so it's I'm getting a little bit of that warmth early, and it changes the whole quarantine period, and it kind of makes you want to go outside a little bit more, man.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So can you tell us a little about your background with the not just the Great Law of Peace, but just with history in general? I know Valerie said so many things about you, and I just want to hear from you.
Well, I was very lucky because I had grown up with grandparents who were readily available. My mother's parents, they were very immersed and steeped in the culture all their lives. My father's grandparents, so that would be my great-grandparents, they were very knowledgeable elders in our community. They spoke the native language. That was their first language. And both sides of my family, my ancestors, they were very strong when it came to ceremonies and traditions and histories and stories. I also have chieftainship lineages on both sides of my family. So to be exposed to growing up, I guess maybe when you grow up with something like that, you don't really appreciate it until later on in life, because we always thought they were going to live forever, and they were always going to be here to mentor us and guide us. Day has come. They're not here, and here I am. I had to step up at some point. I did. So I took care of our ceremonies in our community. I'm on a committee for the Great Law to recite it in the Haudenosaunne communities located in New York State and Ontario. So I do quite a bit. I do my best to stay humble and make sure I'm available for not only my family, but for my community as well.
Man, thank you, bro, and thank you for taking up the baton on behalf of the fam and the community.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Sorry, I was having some sound issues. Can you hear me? Sorry about that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we can hear you.
Yeah, so Jamie, I wanted to ask you, I know one of the foundations is that, the honor is not earned by material gain, but really by, service to others. Can you tell us more about, just a lot of the origins and main tenets of Great Law of Peace, and how are you seeing a lot of those being, continuing to be held today?
Well, the Great Law of Peace came because pre-Columbian times, I guess that's what you would call them. We call them pre-European. My ancestors had come to this point where there was a lot of disputes over land and hunting grounds, feeding your families. So what happened was that they all came together under this message that was brought by this person whom we call the peacemaker. He brought back this idea of that we can all live together in harmony, and we can all live off the same environment with this mutual sharing and taking care of one another. So rather than kill everybody and then go for the resources, we can conserve and share, and we'll survive into the future. So that's really what the Great Law, when it first came, that's what it was meant to do. It was meant to bring people back to this understanding that we're all part of this world. We can all share, and if we take care of it, it'll take care of us long into the future. So the Stuarts had been put in this. We're a matrilineal culture. So the peacemaker left it up to the women because the women gave birth. So therefore, I guess natural law says that they're the guardians of the bloodlines. So they were put in charge of. They were the ones who chose our chiefs, and they still do today. So it's something that we really take pride in our culture, is that women have always had a voice. So when you talk about women's rights in Western society, like they've only been there for 50 or 60 years. Women had to fight for their rights to vote. But with us in our culture, they've been there since the beginning of time, even before the Great Law came.
It was a part of the origins of it all.
Oh yeah. So in our creation story, or our Genesis, it was a female that fell into this realm, gave birth to another female, and then that female gave birth to, I guess, who we call, good and evil. I guess that's what you would call it.
Wow. Absolutely incredible, man. Incredible.
That's incredible. It's interesting. Like, so for one, the more I've been reading, I've been noticing that there's just a lot of parallels between chieftaincy in the Native American cultures, various Native American cultures, and various West African cultures. So Ghana actually is also a matrilineal society, and has also, in terms of how we select our chiefs, it actually comes from the queen mothers. And the queen mothers are kind of similar, I'm noticing, to the clan mothers, right? The clan mothers also play the same role of identifying the chiefs, right?
Yep. Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so, I think the role of women, is something that obviously I think in both of our cultures has been paramount. I think I remember reading something about, wasn't there a woman who was actually involved kind of behind the scenes to facilitate peace amongst the various tribes as people were coming consensus to building the law of peace? Talk a little bit more about the role that she played.
Oh yeah, so we're not entirely sure exactly which nation or group she came from. In our oral history, sometimes they say that she was from this other nation called the Luchos. So the inhabitants of modern day Falls. So she was the first female that the peacemaker was able to convince to accept this message of peace, power, and harmony. So because she was the first female, he left it up to her to be the first grandmother, so to say, this new way of living under this great law of peace. So in our language, we have a name for her. We call her Haudenosaunne. So what that means is, I guess it says that she kind of has like a wide face, because that was our traditional name for the neutral people. So she was the first one to be stood up as a clan mother, to be recognized under the great law of peace, and then all the women of the other 5 nations followed in her footsteps. So this title, I guess, Haudenosaunne, or this, I guess in English sometimes they call it as a peace queen. It was carried on by the people. So you probably read about this woman. Her name was Elizabeth Parker, and her daughter Carolyn Parker. So Elizabeth Parker claimed that she had this title, and then she handed it down to her daughter Carolyn Parker, who would later become Carolyn Mount Pleasant. And then that's kind of the last we see of it in our community, because the Parkers were actually from my city. They used to live just down from where I'm at right now. So that's kind of like the role played in the formation of the Great Law, and she was there for the very foundations and the beginning. And then, like I said, all the clan mothers that we have today, they have all followed in her legacy.
Real quick, so the people are called the neutral, like neutral.
Yeah. Yes.
Like they don't want, they good, like Swift.
Well, when we say neutral, it doesn't mean like they were, in the middlemen. I guess that was more of a European term.
But y'all, you referred to them, or not you, but your ancestors referred to them as the wide-faced people.
Yeah. So we think it's because they used to wear.
That's what happens.
Yeah.
They used to wear what?
They used to wear animal skin overhead. So this animal skin would give their face this larger appearance. So that's why we think they called them. Sometimes they call it because they would wear mountain lions over their head. So it would give them this appearance of face where.
I like that shit. My ethnic group, Igbo people, were known to have wider faces as well. So I personally to that shit. I don't know if we had the animal skin flare, but it's something I'll consider in my wardrobe. I think that makes all this amazing is like it's true, it's genuine history, yet it's not such a legend. And Hiawatha himself is a legend in his own right. Are there any? What I've read have been mostly like what he actually did. Are there any like myths or like prophetic legends about Hiawatha? Like, nigga went up to the sun, like, grabbed it real quick and dribbled it between his legs, then came back down again, gave it out to the moon or some shit. Is there anything, or is it some shit like he like when the French came up to him, he just bitch slapped them real quick? Like, what are there any myths or prophecies? Because he seemed like a prophetic visionary. Like he seems like the prophet of this law.
And also, just to be clear, Amy, like Peacemaker and Hiawatha were 2 different people, correct?
Yeah, that's right.
Right.
Oh,
so I guess one of the legends
first in class. I was second in class.
I mean, so Jamie, have you heard of like kind of wild legends around Hiawatha?
So Hiawatha. Actually, let me correct. It's not actually pronounced Hiawatha. So this white guy who was they called Longfellow. So he's poems, right? And there were these epic romantic poems about what the grand Indian should look like with the feather in his hair. And he wrote all these poems, and the main character was named Hiawatha, but the same Hiawatha. So we actually pronounce it as Hayewata. So what that means is he keeps the people awake. That's really what that means. But the one who we believe had some mythical power was the Peacemaker. So the peacemaker was believed that he had this power. He traversed Lake Ontario in this canoe made of stone. So when the people saw this canoe made of stone and it was floating there on top of the water, obviously this guy had to have some kind of power, right? So anything he had to say, people were just amazed, at what he was doing. So one of the other mythical legends is that when he come upon the Mohawk people, they asked him to prove it. Okay, if this is who you say you are, then show us. So he climbed a tree next to this waterfall. So when he got up to the top of the tree, he said, "All right, now cut it down." So they ran over there with all their implements and their tools, and they cut the tree down, and he fell down into the waterfall. And the next day, he was walking around. So obviously, the people are like, "Hey, man, we thought we killed this guy. Let's listen to what he has to say." Obviously, he's pretty powerful.
That is a wild way to prove yourself to people.
That's some Houdini shit. Like what? In the waterfall? All right.
You guys have there's like a history of trickster characters, right? Kind of in some of the folklore, right? Like, isn't it is that how do you pronounce it? Is it Hagendes?
Hagondes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nigga said ice cream, bro. Said Hagendes.
What was his role? Like he was a trickster in what way? Like, how what's his legend? What's his myth?
So the term Hagondes actually means he has a big long nose. So they would tell the kids, the young kids, that they better behave themselves. Otherwise, Hagondes is going to come and get you, and he's going to drag you off into the darkness. So there's that is like keep the kids from walking the streets and hanging out on the corners. So they used to tell us that that if you don't behave, Hagondes is going to come and drag you off into the darkness.
I think this had any inspiration for Pinocchio?
It could have been. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I just that's the first thing I thought of. But I think that one of the things I notice is the importance of oral tradition, stories. As you know, people of African descent, same thing. They claim we have no history, but our history lives inside us. It lives in the people. It lives in the DNA. And despite what they've said, and despite the fact the written word now has more power, or a perceived power, the oral tradition remains strong. Is how right now is history passed down from generation to generation? You talk about your folks, your parents, grandparents, the chiefs. Is just share how it's passed down?
Yeah, so we have a really long oral tradition in our culture. So if you read a lot about the chiefs, like historical, they were always recognized as great leaders. So to us, language is very important because I guess the spoken word meant a lot in our culture. So back in the day, before there were cell phones, before there were Wi-Fi and computers in the written word, his word was he had. So what they would do is they would send these men, and they would just literally run hundreds of miles to the next village, and they would just run, and they would carry with them these beads made from freshwater shells. And these beads, they would hold them up, and then they would speak, and then they would tell this message, and then this message was relayed, and then it was relayed by another runner onto the next community, kind of like a relay style. So to us, even today, it's only been about the last 10 or 20 years that our language has actually been starting to be written down and taught that way. But up until then, like everything was by oral tradition. And obviously colonization and boarding schools that had a really diverse effect on oral tradition, going to school and having to learn English. And
Actually, can you
And that
speak?
was my question. I'm
Can you
sorry.
speak more about the schools? Actually, like, so I remember hanging out. I was actually randomly in Uganda with a friend of mine who is native, and she's Ojibwe, and she was living. She's from Canada. She was telling me about this idea and this concept of residential schools. Did they have the same thing here in the States, the residential schools? And can you talk a little bit more about the schooling and how it worked?
Oh yeah, really. So one of the biggest ones in the States was what they called Carlisle, down in Carlisle, Pennsylvania. So some of my community members, my ancestors, that's where they were sent, was to Carlisle Indian School. So it's the same school where Jim Thorpe kind of made his name as the first native athlete, I guess. So yeah, he actually competed for Carlisle, and up until probably like the 1950s, there was a boarding school on one of the other Seneca territories called the Thomas Indian School. So that's where they would teach, native kids domestic arts, learn how to read, learn how to be proper, learn manners, and become civilized, I guess is what they would say. So definitely.
Yeah, the way she broke it down to me, sorry to interrupt, but the way she broke it down to me is that these schools, they had a motto that was called "Kill the Indian, save the man," and that the schools were set up to kind of have people assimilate and kind of adapt wider culture. Is that true?
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, the ultimate goal was to try and force or beat the Indian out of us, so that we can just become assimilated into European Western society. You get rid of native names and only have English names. Don't recognize the clans. Everything is patriarchal. So in Canada, what had happened, a lot of native nations actually went by their foot rather than inheriting their clan and their nation from their mother, because that was something that was forced upon them. So even today, some of my friends, they're not even sure exactly what family they came from, because the government forced them at one time to go by their father. And that's not our tradition.
Yeah, I was going to ask you. I mean, I feel like especially in today's time, and I'm happy that you kind of brought it back to today. That is there any role that social media kind of plays in having a voice and confronting and talking about the things that have gone on throughout history, or even what we're speaking about today about the Great Laws of Peace, and bringing this to the forefront? Are there any ways that you've seen, like, has social media helped with kind of enhancing that voice?
Well, I think social media kind of, I don't know why, but it just seems to just inflame everything. I don't know why. We use social media now today to connect our communities together, right? So now we can have cultural and language lessons on social media. So like we can just share things like immediately, stories and oral traditions that maybe somebody else didn't learn in their community, but we learned them here in our community, history and things like that. But again, like, it's kind of taken away from the oral tradition of me interacting with you in person, right? So, I mean, is social media better than a book, right? Like, I can type things and I can, have a conversation and discussion, but I'm talking to a broad audience. Whereas back in the day, if I was an orator, I would be speaking with you in person.
Directly. Exactly.
Right. So you would feel my emotion, you would hear the conviction in my voice, you would know that if I'm here for business, I mean business, that if I have compassion for you, you'll hear it in my voice and you feel that. Social media, there's a lot of positives, but, from my experience, it kind of seems to inflame things, a little bit more for some reason. I don't know why people do that.
Maybe because we're protecting this little lives. screen. You know what I mean? It's like road rage. That's how I look at social media. It's like a big ass like
Road rage, you know, no one's gonna come for your car though. No one's gonna come to your car and there's no repercussions for it.
Right.
Yeah, they're not gonna hit your car, but
They're gonna hit
they
your
might
car.
be like, y'all hit your Nissan Max, bitch ass, man. Your Nissan Max, nigga, and then they won't bump that shit. Or no, sometimes they will. They report you. They report your Nissan.
Yeah,
I really don't like that Nissan. It should be off the fucking highway. I don't like it. I mean, one thing, man, that is honestly, I've wanted to ask this shit since it came on. Just want to know. So my grandfather had 6 wives, and I wrote a song called Bambi where I said he had 7 wives because it rhymed to sound better. But he really had 6 wives. My grandmother was one of those 6 wives. In our culture, polygamy is an option, right? For chiefs in the Haudenosaunne, how many wives can they carry? I just want to know.
So a chief only had one wife at a time.
Shit sucks.
Wait. Let's be clear.
That doesn't mean. But that doesn't mean.
Define at a time. Define at a time. What do you mean?
But that doesn't mean that you would have more kids without telling somebody, or maybe he would have another kid here or there.
Okay, so you have side wives.
Right.
And did the side wives have any power too? Like, were they like? Was it like or was it like a thing of like respect? Like, if you knew like you was a side wife to a chief, the people kind of on the underground be like, oh, okay, yeah, she got some kind of clout. Like, how does that work?
I don't know. I never heard those kind of stories in oral traditions. I had to read about them or.
Okay, so, I just wanted to know. I'm genuinely interested. This is not because I don't want to be optimist. I think that shit does not work. I looked at a picture. I remember seeing a picture of my brother and 2 wives. They were not happy. I just wanted to know what the perks of being a chief were. Because it varies. It varies. I also kind of know a little bit about the. I don't know, Yusuf, if none of y'all been to the res. I've been briefly only to one. I kind of want to know how dating works on the res. Is there a Tinder for the res?
I haven't kind of been in on this scene for a couple of
Okay. All right, we getting the
red light.
Easy,
fellas.
Right.
Man.
Jamie, I know you don't know, but you haven't heard of this.
Hold on, man. Jamie's woman might be watching right now.
Don't answer that.
Alrighty, man.
Jamie, I've been in hot water all week, so like I'm kind of restless.
Jamie, I have a question, and I think I think a lot of us, this was discovery for us. I mean, me finding about this, it was discovery. It was something that it's a part of history that we the so-called forefathers clearly left out and clearly moved to the side. And so it's amazing to discover these type of things. My question for you would be, for those who are listening in and for those watching, if they wanted to get more information, what would you recommend would be a good place for them to start to read up on the laws? I know there was 117 of them. Like, what would be a good place for them to really try to learn about or become aware of this?
Well, I think one of the first things that a person can do is take out a dollar bill out of your pocket and look on the back, and you'll see an eagle clutching 13 arrows. Well, that's a symbol that was borrowed from culture. So the eagle was our symbol first, and he clutched 5 arrows, right?
Crazy.
And in the other hand, he's extending an olive branch of peace. Well, in our culture, the eagle's in the tree of peace, or the white pine tree. So in the early 1700s, before the colonists started to come up with the idea of unifying, colonist leaders were meeting with the Haudenosaunne chiefs, and the chiefs were beginning to explain to them this idea of unifying, that they would survive a better chance against the monarchy. So there was a man there. His name was Caldwell. So he was writing minutes in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, at these meetings, and he was sending his minutes back to Philadelphia to print it. And I don't know if anybody remembers. It's probably one of your favorite faces to see, who was printing up these minutes, who had a printing press in Philadelphia. You remember who that was?
So me and you are from Philly.
Yeah, we're both from Philly.
All right.
Yeah. So I know Benjamin was out there over the minutes, jacking ideas, swagging back and everything. I actually someone told me the story where like they actually had them a lot of the chiefs from the Confederacy come and they put them upstairs of the Freedom Hall in Philly, and literally would just go up there and ask them questions, literally trying to understand the Great Law of Peace. And then would go downstairs and actually rewrite it for America.
So one of the chiefs that I heard that was there, his name was Haudenosaunne. So he was an Onondaga chief. So Caldwell goes to actually write a book called History of the Five Nations, and he published it just after these meetings took place. So if you want to look up a good book, one of the early colonial periods. About the Five Nations and colonial relationships, look up Caldwell, History of the Five Nations.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you, Jamie. Thank you so much.
And Jamie, we want to thank you for your time, brother. Like I know that Harley Davidson in the back is waiting for you. You got wrenches and screwdrivers that need assistance. I know that you're also. I'm sure needed by not just your family, but the community in these times. As somebody, you're very level, brother, and I'm sure that people need that. So thank you for giving it to us, giving it to people that are watching. The comments are really they're talking about how much they appreciate your insight. So thank you, Jamie, and I'll see you soon.
Okay. Thank you, brothers.
Thank you, Jamie. We appreciate you, bro.
All right.
Bless.
Guys, wow. Sidewise.
That shit is crazy, bro.
Crazy.
That shit is crazy, bro. That was really.
They stole everything.
They built all of it. They built the whole country off of literally this document.
Yeah.
Like, I was thinking about. Do y'all remember reading it? These niggas were young. All these little motherfuckers, they were like 22 and shit. So that makes sense. It was like exactly. So if you a young nigga starting a new country, obviously you're gonna just copy and paste some other nigga shit. It actually makes sense.
Yo, what they Eagle got 5? Alright, let's put 13. Let's put 7 more.
Right. If that ain't some even ass, didn't do your homework ass. Like that's some even ass. That's right. Yeah, that's crazy. It's wild that they're not teaching this. You know what I'm saying? But it's like it all makes sense.
Yo, here's the effect though. So here you have the Haudenosaunne play this Great Law of Peace. Then the U.S. is like that shit, and everybody is like, wow. Europe thinks they got it from them. They're like the French. I beat you for philosophers, and then Haiti sees the U.S. see some of the revolutions that happen. He's like, yo, we're gonna do the same shit to Napoleon. But I don't even know if Toussaint even knew at the time. If Toussaint was like, yo, actually, it was actually them over there. They're the original indigenous people to the land that actually changed shape and influenced us. So that's how much the chain reaction in history affects people.
Fam. Yo, what's that called when you what's that called? Plagiarism. The plagiarism that changed the world. That's what I would write the book about this, man. Yo, I was about to
real quick, nigga. I'd be like, fuck.
My daughter, actually, let me tell you where the Constitution comes from.
Oh, definitely. Definitely, bro.
Yeah, but
Actually, excuse me. Have any of you ever heard of the Great Long Peace?
yo, fuck that. Like,
Even,
that's why I don't even say forefathers. I say our so-called. Because that's what Malcolm used to do. I used to love that shit. So-called for white people, so-called forefathers. Like, huh?
I said, we used to diss him right to this. I wanted the debates with Malcolm. And he was like, the guy was like, you seem angry. He said, wouldn't you be angry? He was like, he just didn't care. He just was like, come at them directly.
Yeah, that shit is ridiculous. Of course, black people be angry. Man, come on, man. Especially if people jack your whole shit and they only won because them niggas was dirty. Let's tell history like niggas. The Europeans won because they were not washing their ass. That's actually a good. It's a dirty tactic. But I think they knew they were sleeping with animals. They had 1,000 years of dark ages. They were shitting. Sanitation was an all-time low. It happened.
No, the dark. I remember when. But I think
these motherfuckers in the wilderness, in the. What would you say, you?
No, I said they was nasty as a motherfucker, man. I said these some of the nastiest you ever will meet. If when I looked up, when my dad, we took here and we just talked about, we just went over and researched the dark ages. There's no words. That's all I can say. No fucking words. No words. The ones like here was escaping that shit.
That's true.
That's what I'm saying. That's why motherfuckers left, bro. That's why motherfuckers left, bro. It was slums, bro. Motherfucker, you either could be a serf and be in the thick of the slums, or you was like, yo, I'm 22, bro. I can't subject myself to this. Let's go start a new country, bro. Let's get the fuck out of here.
My father and my mom didn't want this. You know what I'm saying? I'm just gonna get on. And the thing is, history turns it turns every 400 years. Maybe. We have our time now. Like to go back to hate, they can't. People, I grew up around Haitians, and I used to hate how other people look at Haiti almost, or the hate word, as if it was like synonym for dirty. You know what I'm saying? And that's partially because of the independence that they got at such an early time in their history against the greatest naval fleet in the world, the French at the time, and then the U.S. embargo, gun embargo. You couldn't do anything. So Haiti is struggling for years, and of course you're going to have a lot of poverty. But that's what happened to them. Now it's synonymous with them. Now Europeans who see Haiti like, there's maybe some French watching. I don't know anything about you. Okay, I don't know. But when I imagine you, and you can thank your government for this history. You guys, when a Haitian comes over, you have some, And there's even the battles with DR and Haiti that happen now. And that's due to the history. And the craziest thing, to bring it full circle, that's due to the history of this U.S. Constitution revolution that was actually ultimately influenced by, it wasn't Hiawatha, it was like, I can't remember.
It's a great
correctness. I didn't get it.
Well, yeah. I like what you did there, Daniel. You went far. You went far.
Like that,
you put a little backspin on that shit right there. A little
English. I was like, is he gonna reel it in?
It was casual word, right? He kind of reeled it back in. He was like, I'm definitely he French in here. I don't know, but.
And not to lie, like I got so excited when I found the way. You know when you get lost, like in the woods, and then you're like, wait, that sign says 3 kilometers. I remember that.
Guys,
people talking shit.
Let's go to the comments, man. Let's go to the comments. What are these comments saying?
Team Aries. What's up?
What they saying? They saying, come on, history. Yeah, we really appreciate y'all for rocking with us, man. Y'all went crazy when the sound was off. Y'all helped us with the sound.
Yeah. Appreciate it.
Thank y'all for sound checking us.
Somebody said, they're gonna say, they said Teddy Riley must be the engineer. I said, come on, man. Y'all gonna stop coming at Riley. Teddy Riley.
It's certain. No. I can't excuse that. Only because that nigga had a full production, bro. He had runners, like when you it'd be one thing like if you in your crib by yourself and you got tech issues and sure, but when you got 46 niggas behind you and you got a weak Wi-Fi and you rich, like niggas is too rich for weak Wi-Fi.
Unacceptable. Unacceptable. And who were you hiring? Like you saw that meme with like the older. There was like some old grandpas. It was like Teddy Riley's tech crew. Like who was it? You got to think like let me get like a 21-year-old or something to run tech. Like,
guys, we gotta stay on top. We gotta let's see these comments. What do you guys think about this? What do you guys think about women? What do you think about women ruling it? No, we're gonna ask.
You like how I played that, Yui? You like how I played that? Yo, you gotta turn your mic volume up. You're not gonna win, bro.
Now it's my he just called my question.
None of this oxy, bro. What? Yo, he just Ben Franklin, you nigga. He swooped up like I like that shit.
Man, I love that though. I love that women. From my research, I watched.
Clear is how do we feel about women ruling nations?
Yes, I'm gonna tell you right now. From the YouTube video research that I did today of I watched mad animations today, mad cartoon animations because to keep up, and that was probably the best part for me was how much that no matter it seemed like before any level that really before there was any real decision made, women had to be spoken to first at some point. So at some point you had to talk to women before you fuck some shit up. Or you fuck some shit up for the rest of the nation.
There's a proverb that says, "What a woman said this. What a man can do, a woman can fix."
Yeah, and that's why they had these women's councils, bro. The women's councils. Can you imagine being in there and being a woman and just reading what these niggas would smile and be like, strike that, edit that, delete that, comma here.
Nigga.
Shout out to Whippy like a brother. Exactly like Whipper. Yeah, delete all that shit. Delete all, start over.
Yeah, episode 2, your guess was cool, but y'all niggas.
I was like, hey.
Yo, she scheduled a whole ass conference call and started building up for 3 minutes and dug into our souls.
He said, tell me who you think. Tell me who you think you are, my nigga.
Nigga, yo, she hit me on the side, bro. She hit me on the side. That's when you know shit is real. She hit me on the side. Man.
She said, everything you are right now?
Yo, but I love it. Yo, Whipper, shout out to Whipper. You made today's episode better. You understand? Shout out to Brooklyn. Shout out Brooklyn for fucking doing all that. We got a one person. Yes. Teddy, you got 40 niggas in production. We got one woman. What's up?
Yeah, nigga.
Yo,
spread love.
Brooklyn.
But the other thing is like, just for the record, just to emphasize, women ruling the nations, please. Yes. Please. We will do our job. These motherfuckers our way.
Yes,
we can run I think men are good. We run our like we can run our whatever you give us. We will. And we're assertive, we're affirmative, we're confident, we can do what we need. But women running it will be such a better world. The way I put it to men is like this: Yo, we've been the last patriarchal, however many hundred of years. Look at the world now. We're so capitalist that we can't even deal with the hospitals right now. Corona. We're so anti that we can't even clean the fish tank, even though the fish tank dirty is what made the fish sick. Like we're out of balance completely, and I do think, and I'll go on record as saying this, I do think because a lot of the men have been actually running things, quote unquote, for years. They're really not. Women are creators in their own right, simply because they've been granted one of the most awesome and awe-inspiring things, which is the ability to give birth. So yes, we want running things.
we want to run things and having the allies like us as you can see the same shit in Georgia right now.
That's what we do right now. It's
the governor,
like he should yo. Let's talk about Georgia. Let's talk about Georgia, right? That's a great example. Yo, so you got a woman, right? Mayor, right? Keisha Lance Bottoms down here. She's handling her business. She's like, yo, y'all niggas need to shut this shit down, right? Mm-hmm. And then of course the Georgia mayor, right? I'm sorry, the Georgia governor, Kemp, is like, nah, keep this open. Did you know, Yuli, you've been down here in the A. Me and Yuli in the A right now. 3 weeks ago, mothers was still clubbing and partying down here. We were one of the last states.
And she,
this nigga Kemp got up there and said, this nigga gets up there and says, yo, I shut it down late. This is the real nigga translation. Yeah. The nigga says, I shut down the state late because I didn't know that it could spread through asymptomatic. You know the day he said that? That was April 1st, April Fool's Day.
Yep.
Right. The CDC released that information in mid-February. This nigga is eating that shit until April 1st. Keisha knew. Keisha fucking knew. Keisha was like, nah, we're not playing with this shit. And so I'm like, man, absolutely. Anything a man can do, a woman can fix. If Keisha had power right now.
Absolutely.
If Keisha had power right now,
absolutely. And what I love about her is that she was early with specifically speaking to black people and saying, look, take this serious. Don't play around. Don't fuck around. Don't take no games. Like, take this serious. Stay your asses at home. She was cussing on her Twitter.
She knows what it is. She knows this. Think about it, right? I don't believe Kemp. I don't believe he didn't know. Some people be like, yo, he's dumb as shit. No, he ain't. He's at the club. The other old white folks talking to him. They're saying, hey, you know, it would be a good idea. This gentrification thing in Atlanta is taking too damn long.
You know what's crazy? He sounds just like that, though. He sounds just like that, too. Like, no, I'm dead ass, bro, on some real shit. Like, if Republican had an accent, that's what this nigga sounds like, bro.
But yo, let me just balance you real quick, because the Democratic accent is too many fucking big words.
Yeah, I know. You're right.
Everything is here with the conservative status of a magnanimous attitude. What the fuck are you saying?
Yo, I get that's why I fuck with Sarah. That's why I fuck with AOC and certain people. Like people be out there. Ilhan Omar. I mean, she be out. They just be talking like, come on, bro. Like we need to actually acknowledge the accent that gets done.
Yeah,
and they got
the goddamn accent. Open up this country.
And I guarantee Hogan and AOC, they all have probably already knew about the law piece. They already knew about that. I guarantee. Like they're probably, if any of their since are watching this show, they're like, yeah, we learned about that years ago. But that's how they go at shit. They go shit like original women. They honestly, they need to be. Why don't they run for president? Any of them?
They put themselves in a great position to do exactly that. Because I tell you who niggas is not voting for. Kemp.
Biden.
Tell you that.
Kemp.
Yo, hold on. So I just wanted to like, I think bring up a great point that nigga definitely knew. I wanted to look at this. I kept asking. I was like, yo, this motherfucker is the governor. Mm-hmm. You got one job, protect your people, the governor. How you saying you didn't know that it's asymptomatic people? And the CDC, blah, blah, blah. And so I'm like, you know what? We need to look up how far does this nigga live from the CDC? Because I'm thinking, like, maybe this nigga lives on the other side of Georgia. You know, Georgia big as shit. All right, Georgia big as shit.
Alabama.
I'm like, he's in like Alabama or some shit. But we did a little research. We did a little research. We found out how far is the governor's mansion from CDC. And so it was 18 minutes. The nigga lived down the block. Like, the nigga lived down the block 18 minutes away. He didn't know. Like this nigga is social distancing, like, scientific information. Down the block. The nigga is distancing for information.
20 minutes away.
And you know they was like, yo, Kemp, if you want to come through, like, we got you. Like, we got everything you need. N95 on deck for you and your fam. We
got the whole fucking suit from like First Outbreak and Contagion. Just come through. We'll put you in the rooms with the gas spraying, Lysol all over the place. Just come through. We just want to know. He's like,
Oh man.
yeah, I'm cool. I'm staying at home, right? I'm staying. All right.
Look, yo, this was a great episode, man. We back. We back to this is.
Yeah, thank y'all so much.
Back to the essence, man. We appreciate y'all for.
Thank you, Brooklyn. Thank you, fans.
Yeah, thank y'all for tuning in, and thank y'all for your comments because we attention to what you guys are saying. We paid you all, giving us guidance and letting us know, when we're doing great and we need to fix some things. So we really do appreciate y'all. Seriously, man. Make sure y'all continue to tell your friends, tell their friends. We are reviewing these books. We're having a conversation and we're learning stuff that we would have never even learned. Nobody would have ever taught us about the great laws of peace. So today was great. I'm drunk as shit.
Almost quoted Wu-Tang and ran into a Team Wu-Tang quote. Tell your friends to get with my friends so we can read books and things. Yo, ladies and gentlemen, we here every week. We here every week. I'm about to time. Next week.
We read from third world to first. The book that we reading for next week.
From third world to first, guys.
This is a great
fucking Lee Kuan Yew.
Yes, this is a great fucking read. I can't stress to y'all enough to read this shit.
If you don't read it like me, just use that and you will find some clips. And I promise you'll find somebody that.
We know. Oh, yeah.
See with your friend.
You know where you live. We're gonna show you read, bro. Here's the thing. Here's why it's important. You're gonna look at the book. Some of you can be like, Singapore. What does that have to do with me? Our power as black people rests on unity, just as the different once separate tribes in what is now known as the Haudenosaunne were separate. Their power rested in unity, and that's what great about. For next week, Singapore is a great example of what our African nations can learn from. And Africa is our center. If you are a person of color that happens to be of African descent, which truthfully all of you are, but if you are directly related, Africans, Afro-Latina, Afro-Arab, Afro-European, African from the continent, this is a book that will inform you about what we can do in our countries, in the continent, and also across the diaspora. So please read for next week.
It's practical. It ain't no theoretical, nigga. It's like this how we did it. This how we did it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because a lot of that Hotep shit be on like theoretical. Let's bring it back to ancient Kemet, nigga. Like, no, we on this right now. Let's look at somebody.
You know what I realized about Hotep? You know what I realized? Like Hotep got something in common with conspiracy theorists, right? They always got fucking. They always got them fucking terrible ass graphics on the pages and shit, dog. Like the graphics look like they're in like MS Paint. Like,
I know why.
Crazy. It's like certain niggas might have a point. Like they might have a point, but I'm like, yo, nigga, like you need a graphic designer, my nigga. Like there's so much great content, nigga, in the world. You competing with so many great comedians on Instagram. There's so much great shit. Just hire a graphic designer, nigga.
You know why? Because nobody believes them. That's why. So they can't get a graphic designer and they have no money. So like, neither way. Like, anyway, all right, sorry. Thank you, my guys. Appreciate y'all. We'll see y'all next week every Tuesday at 5 p.m. PST, 8 p.m. Eastern. Ashe, y'all.
Peace.
Ashe, nigga.